Hi guys and girls, I'm Nesbit and you're the people of Starfield. To my supporters and patrons, thank you for your continued support of this channel and my Skyrim mods. As always, it is most welcome, and my work continues because of you guys and girls. Okay, so thanks so much. So today I'm going to talk about Starfield and my early assessment of what I've seen so far. Now, before I get started, I just want to give a little background to what I do. I am a YouTube streamer of games, but I'm also a mod maker of Skyrim for 12 years, and I do intend to extend my work into Starfield and mod for this game too. As the Starfield release moved ever closer and closer, the excitement grew in the community, and it was fueled by high-end cutscenes and all the high-end generated images, gameplay, and talk about the game mechanics, the exploration of space, and all the wonderful components the game would offer when released. The reality is, of course, very different from all the bright lights, false promises, which fell from the lips of the producers of the game, and that is nothing new in the industry as we know. There are some exceptions to this. In 2023, we saw a game worthy of the money spent on it by the consumers of the gaming industry, and Baldur's Gate 3 has set a benchmark in quality all devs should take note of. Starfield is not a 2023 game, and it lacks sophistication, quality, continuity, honesty, and is a generic, driven, copy and paste game not worthy of a 2023 title in my opinion, and I will outline the reasons why in greater detail as we go along. Everything that you see within this video is taken from my own personal gameplay. I have a 3060 NVIDIA graphics card. I have the latest drives, M.V drives, and I have 32 gigabytes of RAM, and it's a modern high-end gaming PC. And I'm just going to now add actually some Baldur's Gate images and gameplay to give you an example of why I'm so disappointed with Starfield and why I do not consider it a 2023 game. So you have a comparison to why I'm saying the things I'm saying from a point of view as a game player, but also as a mod author as well. You'll also see some other bugs and issues within Starfield, okay, as we go along, which I don't feel we should be seeing in 2023. We don't really see them in other games as much now. And I will also say this, some of the NPC quality is better in Skyrim than it is in Starfield. Now, that's over 12 years now, folks, so keep that in mind. And I'm talking now as someone who has modded Skyrim for 12 years, okay? So keep in mind what you're about to see next, folks, okay? First, you're going to see a cutscene, okay, from Baldur's Gate, and then you're going to see in-game play, and then a move to another scene. But notice the continuity of quality, of depth, of just precision of the generated game. It's completely different compared to Starfield. Here's the first cutscene. Okay, this is actually my co-op cleric. I have a co-op stream that I play, and this is Sword's character, her cleric, who's been fed upon by Astarion. In gameplay, and again, move into a generated gameplay scene. But look at the quality. Now, Starfield, this is 2023. And this is the point that I find so disappointing after being so excited and waiting for so long for Starfield. We have basically a second-rate game, if that, in terms of aesthetics, continuity, and quality. Yeah, in terms to cutscenes, to NPCs, to open gameplay, to moving in to those driven scenes with NPCs. So the aesthetics of Starfield is very, very poor. Even when we get into the cutscenes, they're of a quality, they're a much better quality, but they're still very poor compared to most 2023 games, and especially compared to Baldur's Gate. Now, people are arguing that it's not the norm, we shouldn't get used to it. Well, I think that's a poor, lazy, and generic, cheap argument. Okay? We got Sam Coe within the Starfield game. I feel like I'm playing Fallout. As I said, this is a copy and paste game. There is not much originality to it so far, in my opinion. And I've played a lot of games in my time, and I've watched the development of games since the first Space Invaders in the 70s, and other games through the 80s and so on to the Final Fantasy series, which is fantastic. Here's another issue. Look at this. Now we have a cutscene here with an NPC moving through that NPC that's in the cutscene. What the hell is this? I asked myself. This is Neon, the planet Neon. Now, I will caveat all this by saying, yes, I'm early on in my playthrough, and I couldn't wait no longer. I've probably done about 20 hours, level 16, 17 or something like that. You can see all my streams on YouTube of my gameplay, and you can actually witness the development of my Skyrim mods for the people of Skyrim as well. So I've been doing this for a long time. But regardless, just as a consumer of games, Starfield is inconsistent and it's poorly made. We're seeing that, there are lots of issues that are coming up. There isn't even a map for interiors yet. So this game has been released in a very poor state, really. And as one of my co-op players said, and someone that helped me, improve the People of Skyrim series, she rightly remarked about all the comments where she said, modders, the amount of comments that she saw that said, don't worry, modders will fix it. Modders shouldn't have to fix Starfield. Modders should be able to expand upon Starfield and the original game. So, from a consumer's point of view and an old man of 55, my 2 cents is I'm really pissed with this game in many ways. But I'm not going to go on a rant about that. I did that in my second video when I started to realise just how bad Starfield is. And again, I'm not, if you look at a lot of the videos out there, people stick out their nice thumbnails. They show you, those driven clips of cut sequences. And they're not really showing you the game because they want their channel to move forward and grow and get their likes and get their viewership. Well, honestly, I'm not too bothered about that. Again, I think there needs to be a continuity in life in what we see to what we say. And let's not pretend, when there is a serious lack of quality to when we see a great example of excellent quality, for example, with Baldur's Gate. This is the problem very much with the gaming industry. And quite frankly, life in general, because when we put profit and margins over people, over quality, over our own creative endeavours, then we only actually truly undermine ourselves in the short term and the long run. And it's naive thinking. But again, that's what happens when you have shareholders and profit margins to meet blah-de-blah-de-blah. Okay, so that being said, let's talk about the positives of Starfield, because it's not all bad. There are some nice elements to it. The space travel. There are some nice cutscenes, but there's not the continuity with the rest of the game like you see with Baldur's Gate, as a opposing example. The combat system is smooth, but it's nothing we haven't seen before. It's basically what we're looking at here is Fallout in space and those fighting systems. There is nothing revolutionary or new about this game. It doesn't challenge itself or game making. It's a comfortable copy and paste reproduction. Now, why do I say that? Because one of the first side quests I picked up was a Hunning Brew Meadery quest, basically in space. So the creativity in terms of storyline and narratives and side quests so far have been generic, boring, and lack any depth or real meaning. The same with the main storyline. There are a couple of characters so far that I've come across that engage me. My first real connection with the game was with the Adorian fan. But from the moment I started playing Starfield, it was generic. It was absolutely generic. Now, let's talk about Skyrim. When I first started playing Skyrim, for all its faults, The story drove me from the moment I got on the cart with Rayloff, and the moment he engaged me in conversation with Ulfric in the car. The story took me, and I went on that great sea of journey with Skyrim. And for all its faults, you will hear in all my videos, I defended Skyrim, and I love Skyrim because it had a charm and a magic about it. The older one's storyline, which is obviously, again, a lot of Skyrim is related to our ancient history and so on and so forth. It was a very well put together storyline. The music was fantastic in it. The opening trailer, I'll never forget the trailer of Skyrim. It still sits with me now. It still gives me goosebumps when I listen to that trailer. 11/11/11. Yeah, there was a passion to Skyrim. Starfield is as devoid as the future we're moving into. It really is. It's totally devoid of passion, of creativity, of any kind of love that's been given to it. And like I said, when you watch Baldur's Gate or you play Baldur's Gate, you can see the comparisons. You can see the difference. So, quite frankly, even though, like I say, the space battles are fun, the ship builds are good, there are some other nice touches to this game. The lockpicking was interesting. The space travel was not what was fully promised, as far as I'm concerned. But there are some nice touches to Starfield. But what ruins those nice touches, like, for example, when I was in a cutscene and an NPC walks straight through the commander that I'm talking to, which breaks the immersion. There is too much that is second or third rate to this game so far. And I've only just started exploring it. I had to put this video out because I needed to release my frustration, to be honest with you, because I was expecting so much more from the Starfield series. Perhaps I should have known better. Some people have remarked that, if anyone thought that it would be any different, we were fools for believing it. But let's face it, it has been 12 years. And we also have the Elder Scrolls 6 coming out, guys and girls. And I actually I've actually packed away any hope for that. I think Bethesda, Microsoft are just a company designed to acquire profit. They don't care how they do that. And they're not really interested in quality or in games that are story driven with unique, well thought out, driven characters that have given great care with their voice acting, with their creation. I don't think these companies are interested in that. They're interested in the bottom line, and that's it. So I think E6 will probably be as generic and as dull and as boring as I found Starfield to be to date. I hope I'm wrong. Really, believe me, I really want to be wrong with that, because I love the Elder Scrolls series. I love Skyrim. I loved Oblivion. I never actually played the first game of the series, but that I was playing other stuff at the time, the Final Fantasy series and other stuff like that. But, like I say, Oblivion I thought was brilliant, and Skyrim is a brilliant game. And the modern community finished that game off and made that game. Actually, if you look on my YouTube channel, you can see how Skyrim looks for me in 2023. It's actually one of the, if you're new to the channel, you'll see about an 8-minute gameplay clip or video of Skyrim modded, just with some sentimental music placed into it, because that's how I feel about the game. The aesthetics are outstanding with parallax textures, 4 and 8K meshes in 4 and 8K textures, and so on. It's a beautiful looking game. You can mod it, and it can, and you can even change up, of course, the mechanics of the game as well, and do so much with Skyrim. But the modern community made that game. And Skyrim and Bethesda produced a good game that inspired the modern community to build upon that game. And I'm sure Starfield will be modded for. I've already got an idea and a lot of stuff that I can do to help the game along. But let me be clear, I am not happy with what the company put out. And the reason I'm not happy as a consumer now is I spent £85 for early release to play this game. It's not worth £35, in my opinion. Because, it is so generic, it is so inconsistent, It is so cheap in places, and as I said, it is lifeless. It is a lifeless, passionless game. Its combat systems, although functional, are nothing we haven't seen before. They're fun in places, but you believe me, I can already feel myself feeling bored by it. The selection of weapons is good. I mean, the weapons are fun in the fact the selections that you've got, but that only goes so far as well. What I'm saying is you can have nice components in the game, right? The lockpicking, I think, is different and nice, and like I said, the space battles are fun, the ships are fun, but you can have all these nice components. But if you have all these other elements that are just low grade or undermining the game, then it detracts from the good parts of the game. Even, for example, when we think about landscape, the foreground, the middle ground, and LODs. For example, even in Kingdom Come Deliverance, there's a continuity to that game, which was 2018. With Baldur's Gate, everything looks so beautiful. Foreground, middle ground, and distance, and LODs. Everything looks fantastic. Starfield, it doesn't. The planets are quite nice, some of them, but you still got that horizon issue in-game that you had with Skyrim. They don't really. I've already noticed on the planet, some of the horizons don't blend nicely with the landscape and so on, just like Skyrim. There are many issues that we saw in Skyrim that we still see in Starfield. And this is 2023, 12 years later. So as a consumer, am I being unreasonable to say this is not good enough, this is shoddy, this feels generic, this feels weak, it feels lifeless? Pretty much. Much of Starfield is so poor, it detracts from the few good bits that Starfield has. That's my assessment to date. And I'm going to carry on playing it. I'm going to carry on streaming it. I'm going to carry on being patient. Because I'm waiting for connections. I'm waiting for the game to engage me and to hold me. But the problem I'm having, for the few bits that does hold me and start to carry me, I then come back to seeing these NPCs, these generic environments. The rooms are very small as well, and the interiors, there's no interior map, as we said earlier. Like I say, you've got NPCs doing stuff that we saw in a 12-year-old game like Skyrim. In fact, some of the Skyrim mechanics on some of the NPCs were better than Starfield, the Starfield mechanics for the NPCs, in my opinion. I would say the gameplay's smoother. The gameplay, especially with the combat, feels smooth. There are, again, I've adjusted my graphics settings for the best for my graphics card, but there are areas that are poor in performance, and that's down to nav mesh and other elements in the game, I believe, as a mod author. So there's so much that's wrong with this game, but don't worry, folks, because the modders will fix it. As everybody is saying in these discords, and those that accept that the game isn't perfect, and then you have those that, again, like I say, some of the people in some of the videos that are put out by the producers that are commenting on Starfield, all these people are wrong. Starfield is a great game. The figures prove it. That's bullshit. That's absolute bullshit. Yeah, people have groupthink mentality and will turn a blind eye to many things. We've seen it throughout history. We see it in the gaming industry. We see it within politics. We see it even with our wars in every aspect. People will totally ignore the blatantly obvious if it suits them and if they want to. And when someone's running a channel and they want their channel to grow, they will say, and they will pump out the party line, the generic line, to help their channel grow, to get that party message line out, especially when they've been given early access from the game to run the game. Yeah, I'm not going to mention the channels. You all know the ones I'm on about. They put up these nice, generic, lovely looking pictures of Starfield, and they use the lovely little cutscenes in all their videos, and they never show you any of the real crap that's going on. And so the whole community, like I say, it's a facade. Much of what we see is a facade, and the companies pay for this one way or another, or manipulate what's going on, or tell you it just works, because you repeat a message long enough, people will believe it. Now, Starfield, like I said, isn't all bad, but it's not the great game that all these people were giving. All these 9s and 10s and all the wonderful things people were saying about it. Not in my opinion. Not as a consumer of game playing or as a mod author. Because I can see plenty that's wrong with Starfield. Now, that's my 2 cents. That's my opinion. I'm entitled to it. If you don't agree, that's fine. Feel free to stick your comments in the comments box. Share the video if you like it. And if you don't, give it a thumbs down. Doesn't really matter to me. The point is that I'm being consistent with how I see my existence and as a consumer what I'm purchasing. And as I said, Baldur's Gate 3 is an outstanding game. Even Kingdom Come Deliverance, which is a highly frustrating game to learn, but once you do master it, it's great fun. You know, Skyrim was a great game, which is a Bethesda game. It had a charm and a magic to it. Everything these games had, Bethesda has none of it. Has very little. And the few redeeming features that it does have, that I've said, at the end of the day are spoilt by lazy production, lack of creativity, generic copy and paste quests so far that I've seen, and just generally an indifference to, well, to the industry, to consumers, and to general gameplay making. Like I say, there's nothing in this game, to me, that's new so far in any real way. Yeah, it's Fallout, it's Skyrim, and it's Todd. It just works. What can I say, folks? This is my experience so far. And if my experiences change and improve, I will honestly tell you. And as I move along and assess the game, I will mod for the game to try to help the community and to give something to the community. I'm not just going to moan about this. I've decided, you know, I nearly walked away from this game, but I'm not going to. I'm going to do my bit for the community and maybe offer something that for some people, if they like it, down the line. So that's what I'll do. I'm Nesbit. You're the people to Starfield. Good gaming, folks.